Hey everyone, I'm James, aka JellyKnees, and today is July 3rd, 2026. It's time for our June developer update where I'll walk you through what changed over the last month, what we're focused on, and what we're working toward in July as we get closer to our next open test weekend. First off, I want to start with some monthly stats. We had 51 additions to the project, 3 big Steam testing builds published, 1 new UI screen designed, 5 UI screens implemented, 1 new team member onboarded to help with level design and blueprinting, and 52 new newsletter subscribers. June was a pretty solid month for the project. A lot of the work this month was focused on improving the way the game feels more moment to moment, getting some systems ready for testing, and continuing to push the UI closer to what we want players to actually experience in-game. So let's start with one of the smaller updates this month, bots. This month we added an additional playable bot to the project, Marina. While relatively small on the surface, this is a big milestone for Ethereal because it means we can officially have full 6v6 gameplay matches with bots. Not only will this help us improve the bots themselves, but it will also allow us to test systems more realistically by having the true 6v6 fashion instead of just 1v1 customs. We definitely still have more work to do here, but getting Marina into a playable bot roster is another good step toward making our internal tests and future public tests more useful. Next up, we have the replay tool. This month we built the core system that allows us to record replays and play them back with camera control. That means the main functionality is there. We can record the gameplay, play it back, move the camera around during the replay. The remaining piece is building the UI infrastructure around it so that players, testers, and eventually content creators can actually use it in a clean and understandable way. This is a really important tool for us long term. It helps with testing, bug reporting, content creation, balance review, and eventually giving players a better way to watch games back and understand what happened during a match. It is not fully player facing yet, but the foundation is now in place. Now let's talk about the UI. Recently, we added a new UI editor tool to our workflow, and it has already made a pretty big difference. Previously, a lot of our UI work relied more heavily on Unreal Engine's built-in UI editor. That works, but it can be slower to iterate with, especially when we're trying to match more detailed UI designs. This new tool gives us a lot more precision and makes it easier to take the designs we already have and implement them much closer to a one-to-one in-game. Because of that, in June we were able to implement 5 new UI screens: the main menu, a custom lobby, a new play screen, myth select, an updated loading screen, and we also designed one new UI screen this month in our replay screen. This is an area where I'm personally super excited because the UI has been one of the parts of the project that needed to catch up the most. Gameplay has been moving forward, systems have been moving forward, but the actual player-facing experience still needed a lot of attention. With this new workflow, we should be able to move through the remaining UI changes and fixes faster than expected. Now let's talk about familiars. A few months ago, we talked about changing familiars into a passive system instead of an active one. The main reason for that change was pretty simple. We do not want players to feel like they have too many required buttons to press during a match. That said, we also don't want familiars to become too boring or feel like another throwaway pre-game choice. The goal is to still give players meaningful decisions that support the myth they're playing and the playstyle they want to lean into. The new version is still a pre-game choice, but instead of giving players a large number of smaller options, we're moving toward fewer choices that have a bigger impact. Right now, the system is built around 3 tiers of passives. You start the match with Tier 1 unlocked, Tier 2 currently unlocks at 10 minutes, and Tier 3 unlocks at 20 minutes. The goal here is to let your familiar grow with the match without turning into another active ability you have to constantly manage. Another part of this rework is scaling. Instead of using a bunch of flat numbers or per-level scaling, familiars are being designed around percentages, so their value should naturally scale with your stats, your enemies, or the situation you're in. This should help familiars feel relevant throughout the match without making them feel overly complicated. So with that said, let's look at the 3 familiars we're currently working on. First is the Dragon. Dragon is focused on bonus damage. At Tier 1, one option is a more basic attack focused and lets you apply a burn after landing a few basics. If that's not really how your myth wants to play, the other option gives you bonus ability damage instead. So right away, Dragon can support basic attack focused myths and ability focused myths. At Tier 2, you can build further into that damage. One option lets you keep the burn going as long as you continue hitting the enemy, the other option makes your bonus damage ignore protections. Then, at Tier 3, the burn path can eventually disarm an enemy briefly if you keep burning them long enough, and the other path lets you heal from some of the bonus damage you're dealing. So the Dragon is really for players who want to keep pressure on their opponents and be rewarded for consistently dealing damage. Next up is the Rat Assassin. Rat Assassin is for players who want to lean into critical hits. At Tier 1, you can either gain crit chance when you do not crit, or gain a permanent bonus to crit damage when you do crit. So one side helps smooth out bad luck, and the other side rewards you when the crits actually happen. At Tier 2, your crits can either help you reduce your ability cooldowns, or they can cripple enemies, Then at tier 3, you can either heal from crit damage or have some of your crits deal true damage instead. Rat Assassin is pretty straightforward. If you want to gamble a little bit and build around crits, this is probably the familiar for your playstyle. Finally, we have the Golem. Golem is more focused around anti-crowd control. This one is a little less clean cut than Dragon or Rat Assassin, but the purpose is still pretty clear. Golem is for players who want tools to survive crowd control and to stay in the fight. At tier 1, you can either gain persistence when you get hit by hard crowd control, or reduce how effective slows are against you. At tier 2, you can heal when you get crowd controlled, which gives you a better chance of surviving the stun to keep fighting. The other option, it lets you ignore being rooted every so often. Then at tier 3, one option lets you cleanse a crowd control effect and use that moment to turn back to the person who hits you. The other option is more team focused and gives you nearby teammates persistence, reducing the duration of hard crowd control on them instead. So overall, the familiar rework is about making the system easier to understand, less demanding during a match, and more meaningful as a pregame choice. We still have tuning and testing to do, but I think this direction gets us a lot closer to what familiars should be. Now for the myth ability updates we promised this month. Unfortunately, we didn't get to update any myths this month due to the volume of other things we were working on. That said, myths abilities are going to be a major focus for July and going forward because we're getting very close to our next open test weekend, and we want more myths to feel complete, playable, and worth testing before we put the game back in front of players. Now let's talk about the most exciting update this month, the class abilities. This month we reworked both the Archmage and Marksman class abilities, and these changes are a big part of making Ethereal's verticality feel more intentional and fun to use. Starting with the Archmage, their class ability has reworked into a short-range teleport that works within line of sight. The goal here is to give Archmage players a stronger rotation tool without making it feel impossible to counter. You can use it to reposition, move between lanes more effectively, or escape certain situations. We want class abilities to create opportunities without removing counterplay, and this version of the Archmage ability feels much closer to that goal. The Marksman class ability also received a major rework, and this is probably my favorite change from June, if not my favorite class ability altogether now. The Marksman ability is now a short-range grappling hook. This lets you vault over walls, climb onto walls, even slingshot yourself around corners depending on how you use it. This is the kind of ability that really starts to make Ethereal's map design click. Because our map has verticality, walls, lane movement, and different pathing options, giving Marksman players a grappling hook creates a lot of room for skill expression. You can use it aggressively to chase someone down, defensively to reposition, or creatively to take routes other classes may not be able to take. There will absolutely be tuning needed, but even this early version, it already feels like one of the most fun class ability updates we've made so far. Next, let's talk about the moderation and text censoring work we've done. This month we added a system to help moderate chat. The simple version of the system is exactly what you would expect. Language that's not appropriate for a broader player base can be hidden or filtered. But we're also building a more aggressive moderation tool aimed specifically at helping combat toxicity toward teammates in-game. The heat of the moment can get to the best of us sometimes, so this is not intended to be a single strike system for every little thing someone types. But major repeated infractions and hate speech can be captured and sent through an API to the moderation team for a review. This way we can handle potential issues quickly and fairly. For more extreme toxicity, we're also testing a system where the user's message is prevented from being seen by teammates and is actually replaced with a much kinder message instead. Right now, we have 24 random replacement messages that toxic messages can be swapped with. This will not be a perfect system out of the gate, but we're excited to refine it over time. The goal is simple. We want to protect the player experience and help build a community where people actually want to keep playing. We're also planning a small Discord update in July. This will be focused on making the Discord feel more aligned with what we want the Ethereal community space to become. So if you're not already in there, you should join. That's where we're going to continue sharing updates, answering questions, and getting feedback from players as we move closer to the next test, and people in the Discord actually got an early preview to this video. With that in mind, let's talk about what we're focusing on in July. Our main goals will be item changes, more familiar updates, jungle camp model updates, building a press kit, replay and watch UI, gameplay UI refinements, 2 additional bots added to the bot mode, 3 additional myth abilities updated, building our content creator program, and our Discord update and rollout. July is going to be a pretty important month for the project. A lot of the big systems are starting to connect now. The UI is moving faster, class abilities are getting more interesting, the replay system is being built out, and the next open test is getting closer. So as always, thank you to everyone who's been following the project, giving feedback, joining the newsletter, and being part of the Discord. We really appreciate the support, and we're excited to show more as we keep building towards the next test. That's it for the June developer update though. Let us know what you think about the Marksman grappling hook, the familiar changes, the new moderation system, and the overall UI direction and design. And if you want to follow the project more closely, make sure to join the Discord and sign up for the newsletter, and I'll see you all next month.